How's it going, everybody? It's your boy, and well, Bearing is once again under attack. Admittedly, he kind of started it, but it was nothing more than a light ribbing, a little bit of banter, as he usually does, because as we all know, when some of the brain trusts say something stupid, it's either him or, I don't know, it's usually Bearing, isn't it, that pokes fun at them, because that's one of his favourite pastimes. And recently, he poked a bit too much, and Music Man Mike and Kristi Music Man Mike, also known as Michael Rowlands, that ginger twat, they decided that enough was enough, action needs to be taken, and Bearing needs to be terminated. But before I get into that, let's go through the chronological order of events, because I'm like that. This all started when Mikey was trying to enlighten somebody from South Africa, and they got confused. They thought Mikey was from Australia, when actually he's from New Zealand, and he corrects them. And Phoebe Pup says New Zealand's way too close to Australia then. Also, the All Blacks and the Springboks, arch nemesis. Thanks for making my decision so much easier. Just a bit of banter here and there. Phoebe says, my observation is of whom you take pride in being blocked by and the reason you take pride in it. Just remember that despite you being an ally to feminism, etc., you embody everything they hate, white male. Eventually, they'll turn on you. So she's obviously a shitlord, this Afrikaans South African. Mike says, I do that mostly, ironically, because there are people who actually care about that, so I take the piss. As for hating white men, they don't, and I'm not a man, so I'm good either way. So Mikey has taken it upon himself to announce to the world that he's no longer a man, even though he still looks like a man, still talks like a man, still acts and dresses like a man, a feminist man, and that's not much of a man, but hey, whatever, masculinity is a spectrum and we all express our masculinity in different ways. So, you know, there's that. Even soy boys are masculine to some degree. But he claims that he blocks and is proud of being a blocker and being blocked by people, ironically. Yes, he doesn't block people because the things that they say to him anger him so much that he needs an echo chamber. He can't be having any opinions that could prove him wrong. Hell no. Gotta keep that feminism going, right? Don't want to smash reality for poor old Mikey. Feminists don't like white men. How come they blame white men? And well, they blame all men for everything, but specifically white men for everything. The patriarchy. That is literally a theory where all men are blamed for all the problems that women have. Or have had. And somebody rightly points out, so if you're not a dude anymore, why not change your avatar to what you look like right now? And enter Patrick. Congrats on the gender transition, Mikey. By the way, you might consider changing your Twitter handle to avoid confusion. That's light compared to what Bearing has usually said to Mikey and Kristi, Kristiosity, Tim. You know, that's pretty light. That's just a little bit of a dig. It's nothing major, but alas, it's Bearing, and when Bearing gives them attention, everything is amplified to 11. Mikey then replies to Bearing in what I can only describe as a grossly offensive, microaggressive, violent tweet. You might want to fuck off and die, smiley face. To which Bearing responds, gee, someone's a grumpy girl today. And yeah, somebody is pretty grumpy, to the point that they will harass a person and tell them to die. Jack needs to get in on this, because this clearly must be against the terms of service. If we're going to ignore context now, right, then that means that despite the smiley face, he has just told Bearing to go and commit suicide. And that could be, well, manslaughter if he actually went and did it. Then Mikey responds and says, nah, just don't need transphobic rape apologists sending disingenuous congrats. Wah! Transphobic rape apologists, Bearing says. That's a fancy way of saying people I don't like. Oh hey, you could probably throw in a misogynist now that you're a chick. Stop it please, he's already dead. And then of course, everybody's favourite doctor, Kristi Winters, arrives. Everyone can hear your instructions, Pat. Many of your fans conveyed your idea to we get raped in a ditch by using your Bearing Mafia in YouTube comments. And then Bearing says, oh noes, many of them? Lol, please never stop being you, Kristi. I mean that. Fucking hell, you are entertaining, and posts a clip of her speaking. Now there is a part of this which we're going to talk about, but that would be spoilers, because there's even more stuff going on. So let's just get right back to Mikey, because I'm not doing this in a linear sort of fashion. Rape apologist, transphobic, homophobic, sexist, serial harasser, and ableist. You think he's trying to be less of a piece of shit? Well, that's the thing, because Mikey, you've also harassed one of my friends, Rulius. You do this whenever he tries to get back on Twitter because he's been false flagged for God knows how long on Twitter to the point he no longer bothers going on again. And you are the one constantly leading the attacks on him to stop him from making new accounts because he was wrongly flagged. Yet, on the one hand, you constantly defend Tim, and you don't seem to want to report him because he's your buddy, he's your boy, even though he's done the exact same thing at one point that Kay did. Oh, and just a little disclaimer about this little thing. No, I'm not suggesting that Tim or Michael or anybody else should be flagged. Ranty monkey, some dumb American. I'm not having another kerfuffle over that. That's not what I'm suggesting. That's not what I'm inferring. Don't start asserting things, people. You have been warned. Thank you. And let's not forget the stuff that you're about to do now to Amanda Wolfchild. I fail to see how this is not harassment. Because he tries to dogpile Amanda Wolfchild and saying it'd be great if you all could report this person for abuse. Notice their username, K Thanks. And that is now abuse. Mike, don't. And let's not forget that he also hangs out with Kristi, a known and self-admitted harasser of Sargon. But hey, you know what? It's okay when they do it. Kristi, not once have I heard you say that the guy can withdraw consent, or that it even has to be obtained in the first place. The fact that you have stayed silent on this issue confirms your toxic beliefs about consent. Rape apologist. Lol, I can't believe you have a PhD. Because he's responding to Kristi, who is trying to say that he is a rape apologist, even though she's never talked about the male side of these things. Of course, Mikey, being the intelligent man that he is, says this. Look at the cute little parrot. He learned some new words and he's squawking them out even though he has no idea what they mean. Cute. Oh, wah, wah. He's learnt new words. Wah. Is that the best you have? When he's actually talking about something interesting, that's all you can say. Technically speaking, according to Twitter's terms of service, this is harassment, Mike. You know that, right? He then tells Bering to go away. No one needs to hear his rape apology, even though he's not apologising for rape. He's winding them up. And then this happens. During this whole event, because this took place over several days, Kristi Winters sent Pat this. A summary of the streaming garbage pile that you call your channel content. And it's a terrible meme because the file left can't meme. And it says this. Go and get raped in a ditch, Pat, aka Bering. Even though I don't remember him ever saying that in the literal sense. In fact, I don't remember him saying it at all, unless they can provide me the full context, which they never will. And then Bering does the same thing, and it says here, okay, I think I get the rules. This should be an interesting game. Your move. You cowardly faggot. If I lived near you, I would find you and destroy you. I would fuck up that regressive, retarded face. Dr. Kristi Winters. Kristi had the gall to say this. Please report this tweet, not only because it's lies and slander, but because it's another example of Bering's homophobic and ableism. Thanks. Kristi, so it's okay for you to do that. But when he pokes fun at you and copies you to show people how stupid this is, he has to be reported, right? That's not how it works, Kristi. Now, all this comes from Bering misgendering Michael. Now, look at Michael's Twitter handle. It's called Music Man Mike. And if we look at his Twitter description, ANBY, which is his personality, I assume, pronouns dunno bro. He himself does not know. I mean, it itself. Sorry. I don't want to get flagged, so I must, I don't know, somehow skirt around his pronouns, its pronouns. I've done it again. Nobody knows. He doesn't know. It doesn't know. So that means that he, she, it is all correct, right? So he's basically, in my opinion, he's lying. I think he damn well knows that he is a biological man and that he is a man because he grows the beard, he grows his hair out in a masculine way, he wears masculine clothes, he talks in masculine fashion, and let's not forget that he also has made no attempt to transition. He's never said that he wants to transition. He's not gone to a doctor to have a psychiatric evaluation to determine if he has any kind of dysphoria or dysmorphia. But no, apparently all this means that Bering is transphobic, that we're transphobic, for pointing out to him that he is a man, and for poking fun at him saying that he isn't a man. He is not trans, he is not non-binary. He's just doing this to virtue signal to his fans and his followers and his mates that Bering is around, let's get him. That's my hot take, guys, because this lot have to believe things like that. They can't believe that trans trenders exist, or people would pretend to do things or pretend to be things in order to one-up people or to attack people. If he says that he's non-binary or doesn't know what his pronouns are, which he obviously does, because look at him, he's making no attempt to change himself, it's clearly to attack Bering in this case. And it's also clear that the pronouns thing is a joke. They've done this before and they'll do it again. This is their MO. They'll lie and pretend to do things in order to attack Bering, Sargon, anybody who they don't like. They have their really creepy targets. They have an obsession with Patrick in particular. I don't even know why. He's not even the most intellectually challenging of all the targets that they have. I'm not saying that he's stupid, he isn't. All I'm saying is that his content is not of the intellectual type to really hurt them. But I guess because he mocks them, because he parodies them, because he does all these jokes, that I guess that is actually far more of a problem than, say, Sargon just intellectually destroying them. But regardless, it's the Brain Trust doing what the Brain Trust does. But the thing is, there's not much more I can do, because they're going to constantly go after him, no matter if he tries to leave them alone or not. Because that's the nature of what they do. They are bullies. They are cry bullies. This is what they do. And if they do leave him alone, they'll find somebody else. They'll probably find someone smaller or maybe someone bigger. This lot will never change unless something so bad happens that they have to be forced to change. But whatever, this is the nature of bullies. They're bullies, they're cry bullies, it's what they do. And all I can say is, people, just be wary, just be vigilant and help Bearing out in the best way that you can. So until next time, it's been your boy, and I'll see you later.